Hello and welcome to another great edition of Chats with the Chairman. I am your host and chairman of the IICRC Board of Directors, Kevin Pearson. And today we got a great show for you. Lee Center, Mr. Health and Safety himself, will be joining us today. But first, I'd like to let you know a little bit about the show. The show is all about our volunteers at the IICRC and how they got involved and what they do today to make the IICRC work. So we will have a question and answer part down at the bottom of your screen. It's a Q&A button if you'd like to ask us some questions. If we don't get to your questions on air today, you can feel free to send me an email to my email address right there on the screen, kpearson@iicrcnet.org. So without further ado, let's bring on our guest, Mr. Lee Center.
What's on? I can't hear you. I got my PPE on.
I see that. I was expecting really the kilt.
What, my kilt? You want to kill me? Is that what you say? Leave me alone. I don't have my kilt on today.
Just don't bend over.
Don't worry.
Okay.
How's it going, Lee? Now, I want to make sure you guys are all safe. Now, I see your deer got your PPE on. Is that right?
That's it. That's it. They got the memo. They said, hey, Mr. Health and Safety is on the show today. We got to look the part. So,
Mr. Health, I've been called worse than Mr. Health and Safety.
Yeah. Well, hey, so I got a couple of questions here for you today, actually quite a bit. I think it's going to be a good show for us, but I kind of always start out the show with asking everybody kind of how they got involved in the industry and how you became about being an instructor and chose this career path. So talk a little bit about that for us.
Well, I'll leave it to say that when I was 19 years old, I had to get a job. I just had to get a job.
Right.
So I went out and got a job. I had to get a job. And the guy I ended up going and applying for a job to be a carpet cleaning assistant. And it ended up that one of my lifelong best friends was a crew foreman there. And we drank a lot, lived hard, but we, didn't cut corners, we cleaned corners. And I quickly evolved into what a lot of people called back then a splish splash type carpet cleaner. Splish splash, I was taking a bath type thing. And we got everything clean, soaking wet. Probably took days for things to dry, but we thought we were good cleaners. And then one day I saw a presentation by a guy by the name of Jim Darling. He was my mentor. He ran ChemSpec Canada. And I can never forget it. He sat there and told me, that I had to vacuum a carpet every time I cleaned it. Give me a break. I'll just clean it twice. And then he went on later in his class, okay? It's my first IICRC class. To me, I was the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be type thing. And then he started to say that I had to spray down my pre-spray and rake it in, groom it in with a groomer. I go, oh, that's enough. And he said, Lee, just stop. I go, no, this is enough. He says, Lee, stop, just go try it. So I went back to my office like a belligerent young man like I come across, and took out the dirtiest rug that I had, and I vacuumed the living daylights out of it, and I pre-sprayed it, and I raked it in, and I cleaned it, and it came out clean the first time around. And it, one of my favorite sayings, it smacked the smugness right out of me right there. And I went on, I guess, to get dozens of IICRC certifications I needed as much as I could get. So that's how it all started.
Okay. All right. Well, what made you become an instructor? Just that experience, or was it something else?
Well, I was, Jim and I got along fairly well. God bless his soul. We both came from Montreal. We both came from NDG. We both had French Canadian wives, and he was getting a bit sick and tired of doing these classes. So I was being groomed to be his replacement. So, and he was probably one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life, and a troublemaker galore. Like, I would love to tell the stories that he would do to trick me during my classes, but I don't think they're appropriate for air. So.
Okay, all right. Well, hey, I know that you play a couple of roles in the IICRC. And I know you've been vice chair of standards in the past. You've done, you were health and safety chair. You've done a lot of things over the years, but currently you're still IICRC shareholder rep, and you are also in charge of the field guides, the health and safety field guides. So let's take them one at a time here, Lee. So first off, probably a lot of people don't know that the IICRC as a nonprofit has shareholders, right? And it's a little bit different model. It's only, you can only do it in 5 states, and it works a little differently. But your shareholder organization, or your trade association, is a shareholder of the IICRC, and you are its rep. So talk a little bit about how it is being a shareholder rep and what all goes along with that.
You learn, if I didn't watch Fox News and CNN, I would have no idea how politics work in the United States, and I'd be hopelessly lost. It's sort of similar in the shareholders most of the time, where there's one side and the other. I don't know if it's gray and black, or white and black, or gray, or red and blue and purple, or whatever it is, but there always seems to be these distinct sides. I think one of the prerequisites is to be a paranoid. It's everybody's all paranoid as a shareholder. And from time to time, believe it or not, Kevin, I'm the voice of reason over there. So you can imagine what that's all about.
It is interesting how that model works, but it does create a check and balance to the system between the shareholders and the board, and that whole dynamic. But the shareholders, one of their main duties is to elect the board of directors, correct? So y'all meet once a year and elect the board?
Yeah. Well, we're trying to, right now, we're supposed to be meeting twice a year or 4 times a year. I know that right now there's heavy talk. I don't know how much I'm at liberty to say, but a couple of ideas been run by us that we're looking at doing monthly meetings for a while, just to, maybe drop a mission statement, stuff like this. I can tell you that I think that now that virtual and e-learning is going to take over, that the associations will have even a bigger role to do some of the hands-on stuff that we need. As the vice chair of standards, it was very interesting to see all points of view. Being the field guide chairperson, you realize how non-compliant people are. And what I've started to do myself is volunteer my services for free. I'm starting to teach health and safety classes to the various associations at no charge, just to help them get some money in the bank and, raise the bar a bit. And, we're trying to strive to find reasons to make us, pertinent in the grand scheme of things. And I think that we lost a lot of our pertinence due to the fact that the large distributors were doing everything. And now with COVID and all this stuff, necessity is the mother of invention, right?
Right.
And now, for us, I believe it will be full circle, where we'll become more pertinent, and hopefully do the things that an association is supposed to do. And then the other thing is that I believe that we have a couple of things that are going on, especially in the restoration side, where we're breaking the law every single day and nobody even realizes it. And that the only answer to get around some of these borderline stupid laws is to create empirical data through research. And I believe that the only role that's one of the only things that the shareholders will be able to do, the trade associations will be able to do that nobody else can. So unless we all want to start wearing supplied air respirators and stuff like this on our jobs, the trade associations are going to have to kick into gear and, get some research done. And hopefully, I know that you guys were very, very supportive of that role. And, all of a sudden you guys at the IICRC got, given that hand of COVID-19 and virtual learning and less money and all that stuff. So hopefully when we get past this, that we can go back to that subject that we were working on so hard before.
Yeah, so you mentioned the health and safety field guides a little bit. We have a health and safety course, and pretty much every course IICRC has a health and safety component to it. So talk a little bit about that, the field guides, how they, what you're expecting them to do whenever they come out. I understand one of them's pretty close to coming out. Is that
really?
Tell us a little bit about them.
Well, we have a cleaner's guide that we're writing for the cleaners. We're trying to write it, we're ready for this for the mom and pop shop who might go in after hours and never see a soul. And then, of course, the big companies like Sedexco. It's very, very difficult to write a document that is going to be pertinent or adaptable for all people concerned. I was really starting to get worried about it. Till recently, I read an AIHA paper that was guidance for COVID for custodians. And here they did in this document, write up the, in a pinch, you can write, you can use some bleach and water as a substitute disinfectant. I go, yeah, I now realize why it's so important for some of us practitioners to participate in writing these documents, because as much as the IEPs and CIHs out there have some great ideas, they might not understand the practicality of what we as cleaners and restorers have to accomplish. So this one will be fairly short. The field guide for cleaners, I was hoping to announce today that the date that'll be out, but we're still out to do one section on public health issues, i.e. COVID. But the way it works is we'll start off with hazard assessments and hazard control, the hierarchy of controls. Most people don't even know, Kevin, that you have to do a hazard assessment when you arrive at a site. So this will be very interesting. We're also, my vice chair, who's just so invaluable, Ryan Tasavac, is deep into looking at how, statistically you can look up the health and safety stats. Obviously, people like to dismiss this right away, but jeepers, if you're trying to draw up a safety program, wouldn't it help to know what people got sick from, what people got hurt from, and what people died from in our industry, right? So on the cleaner side, we can do that much easier than we can on the restoration side. So we'll be talking about that. Then the required safety plans. We talk about 5 required safety plans that everybody has to have. The HAZCOM, written respirator program, exposure control plan, emergency action plan, and fire protection plan. And then we have the PPE plan after that. And thereafter, we get into the various work practices for things that people could get hurt at, and best practices and things to watch out for, material handling and all kinds of stuff. It's very exciting actually to watch this come to fruition after all this work.
I bet it is, because I know for sure there's been a ton of work go into this. But hey, so I know you teach a lot of IICRC approved classes.
Yeah.
What all do you teach, and what's your favorite course to teach? I probably know the answer to this, but I'm gonna let you tell us.
Well, I teach carpet, commercial carpet. That's just IICRC, right? So carpet, commercial carpet, upholstery, trauma scene, which is my least favorite. Okay. Even though I've done that long before the IICRC and everybody else had a class, I've been doing that for over 20 years. Applied structural drying, water damage, and health and safety.
And health and safety.
My favorite.
And health and safety is probably your favorite, or?
Virtually by far, it's my favorite. I think it's a dynamite class virtually. I have a blast doing it. We have great reviews doing it. My problem is I have a job now, so they filled me up with so many classes, I'm going to have to start saying no. So, we're trying to get some other people who would like to get into, my company I work for said, well, we were thinking of training other people to teach a class, but we like the way you do it, so you'll do all the classes. And no. So, but it's a great view into the world that we're in, Kevin. For example, now with the absence of the HST equivalent, in other words, you can't do the OSHA 10 hour now as an equivalent. So everybody has to do a health and safety class.
Right.
I watch the people come in. There's roughly about 20 per class. Out of the 20, the average numbers, and I'm not exaggerating it whatsoever, maybe 3 out of 20 do a hazard assessment every job. Maybe 4 out of 20 have a written HAZCOM. A bit higher for written respirator program. You're as high as 5 or 6 out of 20. Almost nobody at all ever has an exposure control plan. And most people are busy writing down at this point, so I'm assuming they don't put their hands up for the emergency action plan and fire protection plan. So it's not like we don't need this. It's desperately needed. It's shocking that all these people are going in to become masters and they don't even know what a HAZCOM symbol, what a GHS symbol means on the side of the jug.
Right.
That's so and I'm not trying to be critical, because I've grown to learn that most people have the attitude where, well, part of your HAZCOM, and most people go, oh yeah. They're embarrassed to say they don't know, right? And it just carries on and on. Everybody's embarrassed to say they don't know. I don't get it. And then when you say you should take a class, they're going, I took one of those classes a long time. You didn't you? So tell me something. If I have a heart attack right now, you're confident that you could revive me? Right now, my big thing is the Narcan and naloxone. Here we have more people dying of opioids than we do of COVID, and nobody carry. I had my first class last week, a private class that everybody carried Narcan in their trucks.
Wow.
So, there's all kinds of things that we can be doing, but it seems that it always gets fluffed off. And, it's a matter of life and death in some of these things. I'm a walking cripple in certain respects. A lot of people don't know that about me. The reason I'm involved in this so deeply is my health is so deeply affected in so many different ways from this, right? So.
Mm-hmm. Hey, so you mentioned live stream classes. You teach many of those? Do you like teaching them? Tell us about that.
Well, I did 2 on the same day last week.
That's right. You told me you did one in the U.S. and then one in Australia.
Yeah.
It's like 16-hour day, Lee.
Well, that's a short day, right? So don't forget, I had to work before that and after that too. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I actually love the live stream. My problem is I still shout at the thing, at the screen. I learned a few things. I learned I never smile, so at least on Zoom I learned to smile.
Right.
But I didn't realize I was such a grumpy SOB. I really didn't. My wife still says I'm screaming at the screen all the time. It sounds like I'm giving everybody hell, she says. So. But I like the live stream. I think that, the combination of going over the slides that are required, adjusting the slides to the class, and then, the pertinent stuff, showing a little video off of YouTube, a wide variety of YouTube videos make people realize how easy it is to actually get this information if they actually look for it. Yeah, I love it. Water damage, I'm getting the hang of it. I just did my first in metric, even though we're a metric country here. That was a fun part. And I really love carpet. I was hoping you'd ask me to show, because I sit there and watch everybody else's rugs. Now, I don't have my second sitting of the Last Supper, but, I wanted to point out, I love rugs. So here, if Lisa, if anybody would like to try and guess what that is, okay? And if you can tell where it comes from and what it's made of, I'll be overly impressed.
I don't know, Lee. I don't even know what it kind of looks like a polar bear.
It is a polar bear, yeah.
Okay.
And this is actually, I picked it up. I didn't pick it up in Newfoundland. I picked this one up in Newfoundland. Oh, so upside down. There, you see the northerly wind there?
Oh, okay.
So they still make them there. This is a hand hooked rug, but what was interesting is, I'm very, very deeply interested in history. I'm about to write a book about where my family comes from. My family on my mother's side was the first family north of the Rideau River in Canada. And, during the war, before and during the times of the War of 1812. So I'm looking to go back and study the history of the people coming there and then write a novel about a little boy who grew up in that. His name might be Lee. And
well, I got a couple of questions we can. Well,
I'm curious if anybody gets that one. If they do, you should give them a prize.
We will. I tell you what, if any one of our guests get that, then we will. They can type it into the Q&A section of the screen, and we'll send them a prize. But I do got a poll question here, Lee.
Okay.
How many IICRC technicians are there in Canada? You got a choice of 5,435, 1,002, or 2,536.
I'll take 5,435.
You'll take 5,435. Okay, we got some more questions at the bottom there. How many certified firms are there in Canada?
I would say 389.
All right, let's see. Okay, so I'm going to remember these and we'll see if you're right. Is live stream education available in Canada?
Sure. Yeah. I think I got it. Do I have to get rid of this little screen in front of me there? Okay. There.
Yeah. And
it
just so you know, Lee, you got them both. You got them all right.
Oh,
so,
well,
yeah.
Yeah, and unfortunately, all kinds of people out of town here have to put up with me for their health and safety, right? So it's I'm sorry. What was the question again, Kevin?
Well, I think the question.
Virtual
questions. They took the poll questions down. So let's see. What is your biggest accomplishment so far in the IICRC or as an industry professional? What do you think that would be, Lee? I stumped you?
I never look at it that way, man. I don't do this for any reason other than it's the right thing to do. When I tried to walk away from this safety and health field guides as a volunteer, I was basically told I couldn't do that. I don't know. I would say getting the S540 through, I was very, very, very happy to see that. I was really happy to see it come to an end. The way David Oakes came in there, that was a real big one for me, believe it or not. Getting HST as a global class, I think was really big also. That was really, really something as far as I was concerned. I think those are probably the two biggest for me. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good. I mean, I've taken, I don't know how many classes over the years, and, they all have that health and safety component to them. But I think whenever I actually took the health and safety class, I took the OSHA 10 hour, and then I took the health and safety class. And that, to me, had a ton of value in it, because you don't get the full experience just by 2 hours or an hour of going over health and safety in a class, and I think if I still had my business today, everybody would go to that health and safety class. It made a big impression on me. So,
one of the instructors was pretty rude and rough.
Do
I
what?
think one of the instructors was fairly gruff at that presentation too.
Yeah, he didn't smile at all. That was before live streaming, so you couldn't even see yourself. So.
Yeah, well, I think I growl, with the best of them, but it's,
So you think it made you a better instructor by getting to see yourself on screen?
Absolutely. I didn't realize how bad of a, I growled all the time. Some of my friends have said, Lee, I'm going to stop calling you. You're just a grumpy SOB and you're not worth dealing with on the phone. And you're lucky you're my friend, or else I wouldn't do business with you type thing. So in that respect, it was huge. There's no possible thing. I still don't, if I had to smile on purpose, it's still hard. Like,
Right.
Can't do the Skullgate, but I'm allowed to laugh, and I can laugh with the best of them, the live stream for me, I think, is really, really key for all of us. Watching the HST, it's made me, one of the big issues that everybody always talks about is local laws. And, with the HST class, doing it virtually has finally allowed us to say, look it up. And I purposely put a couple of traps in my PowerPoint that basically says, I should have.
Look, there's somebody needing health and safety advice right now, Lee.
Break that thing. No, that, you've got to look it up. So we leave a couple places in there that show how quickly the laws change, and then when I try and look things up, especially when it comes to the COVID and precautions for COVID, and every single week, the charts on Google are different. And you realize how quickly they evolve, and that you get the students see clearly that there's no harm in looking it up. And that they should be looking it up. So that's one of the things also I believe that the live stream has allowed us to do, is to emphasize that aspect of things. Yeah.
Well, hey, Lee, thanks for joining us today. It's been great catching up with you. But before we go, is there anything else you'd like to let us know about real quick?
Yeah, I want to point out that, we have a whole other world of art that we surround ourselves in. And this is a piece that's my favorite. I don't know if you ever heard the song by Steeler's Wheel that says, clowns to the left of me and jokers to the right. Here I am stuck in the middle with you. So I guess that's me there in the middle, Kevin. That's my wife in the blue dress. And is that you overlooking us, or who is that?
Oh, in the back. Yeah. I don't know. That could be.
I don't know.
Be careful there. I see that kilt. Just,
No, you took away everything. I was going to surprise you just for there. That's where I want to end up at the end of my life, in the sky.
Gotcha. There you go.
Yeah. So we have a whole other world of on art. And I'm looking forward to the day that I can retire. I got a job now. I've got 2 years and 9 months left to set the stage for that company and my old company to take the ball and run with it. And hopefully we're going to become retired in France and drink too much wine and, be able to take these beautiful paintings to the next level where they belong. So that's what most people don't know about me, is that deep down inside that there's this novel writing art dealer who's got a superhero wife. And we hope to spend several years taking that after we're finished at the IICRC.
Well, awesome, Lee. I appreciate it, and I appreciate the time today. It's been, like I said, it's been great catching up with you, and it was a lot of fun. Totally didn't expect you to do a couple of those things, so that's you just keep me on my toes, so I appreciate that.
Did you, by the way, did you fit test those 2 deer with your N95?
No, they've got facial hair, so you can't do the fit test.
Oh, okay. Well, forget it. Thanks for having me very much, Kevin. I do appreciate it. And it was fun too.
Yeah. No problem.
Am I allowed to pull a moon on you or what?
No, let's go. Before we wrap it up today, I'd like to remind everybody of the live streaming classes that we have that Lee and I talked about a lot today. There's certified firm webinars, and e-learning is up and coming. So, and don't forget, our new S220 was just released. If you'd like to buy that, you can purchase that off the IICRC website. And just so everybody knows, next month, our guest will be none other than Paul Pierce from England. And we are looking forward to catching up with Paul and hearing from him about all things IICRC. So until next month, I'm the host and chairman of the IICRC board, Kevin Pearson.